That's on. That is, yes, a red flag. That is coming out of turn 13. He has gone straight off into the wall. That's the first time we've seen a Formula One car hit the barrier. There's one of the left front wheel. Immediately red flagged the track, and a heavy impact. Now the left rear has come off the car. Well, that came off and that caused the accident. We don't know. We will get, no doubt, a quick replay of that, but certainly a big wake-up call for Rubens Barrichello, the winner of the Italian Grand Prix 2 weeks ago.
Well, I was just about to say that that wall up on the outside turn 13 using this new barrier system, which was incorporated for this year's Indy 500, it's now not a concrete wall that they hit on the outside. I was just about to talk about that, and the next shot we see is that somebody has hit it hard. Let's see what happened.
Watch for a wheel coming off the Ferrari. There it is, and he's gone round, and there is no left wheel on that Ferrari. The wheel there, well, I didn't think it was. It's difficult. We need to see that again, because clearly something let go very rapidly, because as he came midway through the corner, he was already in a high-speed spin. So Rubens walks away from a shunt, and the new barrier that was built here is called Safe Steel and Foam. Whatever. I'll find it. I've got it here, believe me.
Yeah, the new system for greater safety, but that is the damage done to the Ferrari. There was something wrong with that car as it came into view. It was already spinning, but it looked like the rear wheel was actually still attached, but it looked like something might have collapsed or broken before he came into view on start-finish area. So the red flag's out, a bit of a clear-up operation to go on here, and as you say, it's we've never actually seen a Formula One car into the wall. It was talked about a great deal with the use of the banked turns, but I think Bruce Jones is with him right now. Let's go to Bruce.
Rubens Barrichello, we've just seen you hit the wall. How do you feel? Are you injured or just unfortunate?
No, I don't know what happened. I don't know if the tire exploded or if I don't know.
So there's no warning and you just sort of pulled left?
The car just, I don't know. Let me check.
Okay, tough luck. Thanks, Rubens.
Another look at it there, John. A quick replay, and again, it was already spinning as it came into view, but you know, that's a flat-out corner, isn't it? It's a straightforward corner, that one.
I mean, okay, the car's not reaching the speeds in the straight that they would reach maybe in qualifying or possibly in the race, but nevertheless, I would say Barrichello doing the thin end of 180 miles an hour when that car went out of control. Just to go back to this new barrier system that they've introduced at Indy, and it's behind those advertisings. It's called SAFER, which is Steel and Foam Energy Reduction, and really it worked very successfully in the Indy 500 this year. And it's a form of barrier which is being looked at. I think Charlie Whiting, who is the race director at all the Grand Prix throughout the season, is very interested to see whether it has an application for Formula One. Let's look again and see. Well, was it either a puncture? Rubens thought it might have been a tyre, but to me, you can just about see the edge of the tyre, whether it had folded under or not. It's still in contact with the car at that point, and then it just breaks away the rim and tyre. So, well, was that a mechanical failure? Was it a tyre problem?
Something very strange there. Something failed, but it's hard to determine what it is from the pictures. And Ferrari, no doubt, will be studying that closely.
Well, that's the onboard shot. That's the onboard camera shot looking back. Now, I wonder, would that give us a clue whether we can get a replay of that particular view, the backward view from Barrichello's Ferrari? In fact, the damage to the car, while it looks severe, is in fact probably not that much indeed. The trouble for Barrichello and Ferrari is that this looks like it's the end of Rubens' day for Friday anyway, because they'll have to get that car back. They will have an hour between these two sessions to work on the car, plus whatever time they can get back for the remainder of this session. But, well, you know, when you're at the top of the world, everything is just impossible not to go well, then something like this just wakes you up and tells you that Formula One, however safe racetracks are, however safe Grand Prix cars are, it is still a dangerous sport.
Michael Schumacher getting the headphones on, the headset on in the Ferrari garage, and no doubt talking to some of the guys who are over there with the car to try and find out what's going on here, what might have caused the incident. There's going to be a definite cause for concern for the team and for Michael. Now that isn't still on the rim, is it, that tyre? It's I don't know whether the rim disintegrated when it hit the wall or what quite there, but no doubt we'll find out more. A lot of bits and pieces to be picked up as Luca Badoa, test driver, looks a bit concerned.
But look at the skid marks, Ben. I mean, that is a very acute angle at which Rubens hit the barrier. When we were accustomed to seeing cars at Indy doing a similar thing but going in the opposite direction. But that was a heavy, heavy impact, and those new safer barriers, that's what they're called. You see, he was on the grass. In fact, he'd been across the grass before he ever... that was the incident started, caused him to get on the grass, and that then caused the car then to spin up the banking. When you get on a banking, you put opposite lock on, which is what Rubens would have instinctively done. The car will ultimately take a bite, and then it will shoot it up to the barrier, to the top. And one of the big no-nos on an oval racetrack is that if the back end gets away, you don't start to try to fight it by putting opposite lock on, because that will lead to a much more severe incident than if you just allow the car to spin and then let whatever effect occur.
Well, it was his first proper flying lap. He'd only done the installation lap up to that point. First flying lap, but it all went very wrong indeed. And the Bridgestone engineers down there obviously very concerned in case there was any sort of tyre issue that led to it. But let's just wait to see and no doubt get some word from Ferrari as to what happened a little later. That is the point of contact then on this new barrier system.
And again, just as an excess gate, which is that piece of Armco barrier, those 3 layers of Armco barrier, fortunately he hit that new steel and foam energy reduction part, the barrier prior to that piece of Armco. The difference would have been quite marked, I'm sure, at the speed of impact with the kinetic energy involved in an accident of that magnitude. So for the first time, Ben, I think in the 3 years now we've been coming to Indianapolis, that's the first time I can remember seeing a Grand Prix car have a really severe bite at the concrete walls around the Indy circuit.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's not the ideal start to free practice at Indianapolis. The session, of course, having been stopped with the red flags as soon as it was seen that Barrichello had hit the wall. Thankfully, it didn't involve anyone else. Olivier Panis was very close behind him as he came through the corner.
He was. He had to get on the binders pretty quickly. And again, just from a technical standpoint, watching that the Ferrari, the way it is being craned back, we heard the Williams team wanting to shift static weight forward in the chassis. Well, you can see that the Ferrari's got a lot of static weight forward because the way the car's hanging from that wrecker, as they call them here at Indianapolis, clearly Ferrari have come here with a car with a lot of static weight quite far forward. Let's look at it again. Well, the rear wheel, it does look like the rear wheel was still attached to the suspension.
Now Peter has one of the Bridgestone engineers with him. Peter.
I have indeed. Yes, you just had a good look at Rubens' car there on the truck. What was your opinion of the tyres on the car?
Of course, we need to check one more time when car comes back. But I think from just the appearance of the tyre will be no problem.
Yeah, it looked to be more or less in one piece there. Difficult to tell with some of the accident debris there. Big accident though.
Yeah, from a distance anyway, we can't see any details, so we need to see more details when car comes back.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Peter. And it's going to take a little bit of investigation there to find out exactly what happened. The onboard camera is still showing us the view as the car gets carried away, as you say, John, somewhat nose down in attitude. So the weight on the car further forward than it might be at some of the tracks. And we heard Williams talking about moving their weight forward for Montoya. That's something that they were looking to do anyway.
When that incident started quite a long way back in turn 13, and Barrichello would have been well aware that whatever that caused the failure, it was very sudden. He had really little chance to do anything about it, and particularly at the speed he was travelling, and particularly in a corner with a degree of banking, that's about 9 degrees, I think, 13 possibly. So Rubens gets back, and his wife there just, well, she must have been shocked to see her husband sitting in the car, well, one wheel off and another one at a rather drunken angle. But look, the hub looks, well, we need to get a static look. I'm really second guessing as a car goes past, and I mean, when the Ferrari get that car back to their garage, and no doubt the shutters will come down as they will want to investigate, but I hope that they are able to give us some insight into what did cause that incident. But certainly a massive shock for Barrichello, and he would have instinctively reacted.
I just felt that it was something broken. It started to spin, and I hit it sideways. It could be a puncture.
When you see the car first coming round, and when it goes into the wall, the tyre is missing off the rims.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, interesting, because from rival teams, they might be, but in a situation like this, John, everybody needs to know as quickly as possible what might have caused an accident like this.
Yes, and I think Patrick Head of Williams to come down to Rubens and give him the benefit of what he saw, what he believes he's seen, and he may have looked at it again on probably the very same pictures that you're getting at home. There are other pictures available, of course, if you go through the various options on your handset. But Patrick Head feeling that in these situations it's more important for teams and drivers to have all knowledge available, all, if you like, opinion, which is what Patrick gave. But it certainly seems logical that it was either a wheel failure that caused the tyre to literally watch again and see if we get a... I mean, he's facing the wall head on at that point.
It does look as though the car's sitting down.
Yes, it does. It looks like the left rear of the car is down. And again, there's the bits of wheel, and well, I think that looks to me, the way the wheel is disintegrating there, whether it was a wheel failure or whether a tyre, the seal of the tyre bead against the rim, whether that was the cause. Well, Bridgestone no doubt will take their equipment away and examine it minutely. Ferrari will do the same with their equipment. I'm slightly concerned that you can see, I think, a part of the hub of the wheel attached to the upright of the car, so that may also be either cause or event.
Well, here on F1 Digital Plus, you've seen it happen live. It's the only place you'll be able to watch action like that taking place on a Friday in free practice, and that's going to be one of the stories of the weekend. Ferrari in trouble in the very first session of free practice for the United States Grand Prix, the first red flag of the weekend, and indeed the first contact with the barrier up on the outside of that turn 13. So the drivers and teams elsewhere in the pit lane just taking an opportunity to take a break. Eddie Irvine just chatting to his engineers. Let's go to Peter Windsor now, who's talking to Patrick Head.
Patrick, we just saw you walking up there to have a chat to Rubens. What were you talking about there, if we may ask?
No, I was really wanting to ask him if he knew what the cause was, because certainly something failed. There's no way that it was a driver error, and you could see when the car, although it was already spinning, when it actually hit the wall first, the tyre was shifted across on the rim as if the car had got a puncture or something had happened to the tyre. But Rubens said yes, he felt something just go at the back, but he didn't know whether it was a puncture or what.
We were just talking to Suganama from Bridgestone. He was having as good a look at the car as he could while it was on the truck there, and he said it appeared not to be a tyre problem, but maybe he would say that.
Maybe he would.
On another subject altogether, Patrick, Juan Pablo Montoya was saying yesterday that the problem with his car that caused his retirement in Monza was nothing to do with him at all, and actually showed up on Sunday morning warm-up. He felt something a bit funny with the car then, and in retrospect that was probably something beginning to fail at the front.
He hasn't mentioned that since, but yes, it was he hasn't mentioned that he felt it in warm-up, but it was a failure in a chassis structure on the mounting of the front suspension, which meant that the front suspension. Very surprising, and obviously we've taken steps to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Does it come under the heading of racing cars should be strong enough not to fail when they're bounced over curbs?
Well, I mean, yes, we've got to make the cars strong enough for anything Juan Pablo can do to them, apart from driving them into a wall. But we certainly don't hold the driver at fault, but certainly Juan Pablo's got a pretty robust style, and that includes bouncing across a few curbs.
One final point, I gather also he had a bit of a misfire in the race as well. Is that correct?
That was only on the main straight, and it was a traction control setting which applied only to the first corner, but it was having an effect on the engine on the straight. I don't think it was losing him much lap time. The biggest loss of lap time was the fact that he'd been off the track and wiped off half the aerodynamic devices on the left-hand side.
Well, misfires don't sound as they used to. I was on the pit wall and 18.8 or whatever it was sounded perfect to me, but I suppose it would at 18.8.
Your ears are obviously not as perceptive as they used to be, Peter.
Thank you very much, Pat.
Okay, good.
Oh, thank you, Peter. And another close-up view of Barrichello's accident there, John.
Yes, and I think what from Patrick Head has said, his observations, and clearly it's either tyre or wheel related. And we have seen in the past where teams have been given wheels that have failed under stress. That's the kind of incident where a wheel might collapse for some reason, just a faulty rim, and of course then the tyre would immediately deflate, and that would be the reason why he went out of control. Equally, the tyre could have separated from the bead of the wheel for other reasons, which could have caused what we have seen, or has been suggested it might be a tyre problem in itself. So there's probably three areas that both Ferrari and Bridgestone will investigate initially.